Listen closely. I'm about to show you something most men never see. A pattern so clear yet so hidden that once you understand it, dating becomes simple. Not easy, but simple. Because women communicate interest in a language most men don't speak. And that language isn't words. It's behavior. Before we start, hit that like button and subscribe to the Shadow Mind. We're building a community of men who see reality clearly. No sugarcoating, no fairy tales, just truth. Now, here's what you need to know. When a woman is interested in you, truly interested, she does something specific. She creates space for you in her world. Not physically at first. Mentally, emotionally, she begins to reorganize her inner life around your presence. And this shows up in ways she can't fake, even if she tries. Carl Jung talked about the shadow, the hidden parts of ourselves we don't show the world. When a woman lets you see her shadow, even tiny glimpses, you're already in. She's not performing anymore. She's being real. That's the signal most men miss because they're too busy trying to impress her. Think about your last interaction with a woman you liked. Did you spend the whole time trying to be funny? Trying to be cool? Trying to say the right thing? That's exhausting. And here's the brutal truth. While you were performing, she was watching to see if you're real or fake. Women have a radar for fakeness. They've been dealing with men trying to impress them since they were teenagers. They can smell desperation and neediness from miles away. Not because they're cruel, but because their survival instincts are sharper than yours. Evolution made them that way. So when she starts being real with you, that's not casual. That means something shifted. Her guard dropped. She decided, maybe without realizing it, that you're safe. Not safe like boring. Safe like trustworthy. Safe like you won't judge her. Safe like you won't use her vulnerabilities against her. Here's the thing. When she does this, when she starts showing you the unfiltered version of herself, most men panic. They either try harder to impress her, or they get scared and pull back. Both reactions kill attraction instantly. Because what she needs in that moment is for you to simply be present. Calm. Grounded. Unbothered by her realness. Nietzsche said, "He who has a why to live can bear almost any how." When you have a strong sense of purpose, when your life doesn't revolve around getting her approval, you become magnetic. Not because you're playing games, but because you're genuinely centered in yourself. And that centeredness is what makes her feel safe enough to drop her mask. Most dating advice tells you to do specific things. Text this way. Wait this many hours. Say these words. That's all surface level. What I'm teaching you goes deeper. It's about becoming the kind of man whose presence creates safety. Not through tricks, but through genuine internal stability. When she starts sharing random thoughts with you, that's a sign. When she tells you about her day without you asking, that's a sign. When she complains about something small and meaningless, that's a sign. She's testing the waters. Can I be myself around this man? Will he judge me? Will he try to fix me? Or will he just listen and be present? Your response to these moments determines everything. If you get needy and start fishing for validation, do you like talking to me? Are we close? You lose. If you try to solve all her problems like you're her therapist, you lose. If you match her emotional energy and stay calm, you win. Not win like a game. Win like you've created genuine connection. Arthur Schopenhauer believed that human behavior is driven by unconscious will. She doesn't consciously decide to open up to you. It happens automatically when her unconscious mind determines you're trustworthy. You can't force this. You can only create the conditions for it. So, what are those conditions? First, you must be comfortable with silence. Most men talk too much because they're nervous. They fill every gap with words. But silence is where real connection happens. When you can sit with her in comfortable silence, her nervous system relaxes. Second, you must be non-reactive. When she says something vulnerable or tests you with a challenging statement, your energy doesn't spike. You don't get defensive. You don't over-explain yourself. You simply acknowledge what she said and remain steady. That steadiness is what she's searching for. Third, you must have a life outside of her. When she senses that you have purpose, passion, and direction that exists whether she's there or not, something inside her relaxes. She stops being a prize to win and becomes a person connecting with another person. When these three things align, she begins to invest. Not because you manipulated her, but because genuine connection formed. And genuine connection is rare. Most people spend their entire lives wearing masks, pretending to be who they think others want them to be. When two people take off their masks, even partially, that's special. So pay attention to the small moments. That's where truth lives. Let's go deeper. Because what I'm about to tell you will change how you see every interaction with women. When she's already invested in you, she starts doing something that most men completely misunderstand. She tests you. And these tests aren't meant to hurt you. They're meant to confirm that you're real. Freud understood that human beings operate on multiple levels. The conscious mind says one thing. The unconscious mind does another. When a woman tests you, her conscious mind might not even know she's doing it. But her unconscious mind is running a program designed to filter out weak men. Not weak physically. Weak emotionally. Weak in character. Here's how it shows up. She might suddenly become distant after being warm. She might disagree with you about something small. She might cancel plans last minute. Most men interpret this as rejection. They panic. They chase. They try to fix whatever they think they did wrong. And that panic is exactly what she was testing for. Think about it logically. If your emotional state depends entirely on her mood, what does that tell her about you? It tells her that you're not grounded. It tells her that you need her validation to feel okay about yourself. And nothing kills attraction faster than neediness disguised as care. When she pulls back and you remain calm, something powerful happens in her mind. She realizes you're not like the other men she's dealt with. You don't crumble when she's not pouring attention on you. You don't turn cold or bitter when she's having a bad day. You simply continue being who you are. And that consistency is magnetic. Carl Jung said, "Until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life and you will call it fate." Most men are unconscious of their own neediness. They think they're being caring or attentive, but underneath, they're seeking validation. They're trying to earn love through effort. And women sense this immediately. Here's what you need to understand. Attraction isn't logical. You can't negotiate someone into wanting you. You can't convince someone to feel something they don't feel. Attraction is an emotional response to perceived value. And value isn't what you say. It's how you carry yourself when things get uncomfortable. When she tests you, she's asking a question her ancestors asked for thousands of years. Will this man protect me when things get hard? Not protect physically necessarily. Protect the emotional space between us. Will he stay calm when I'm chaotic? Will he be strong when I'm weak? Or will he collapse under pressure? Every woman has been disappointed by men who seemed strong at first, but fell apart later. Men who talked a good game but couldn't handle real challenges. Men who were confident in the beginning but became insecure and controlling over time. Her tests are designed to filter those men out early. So when she becomes unpredictable, don't try to control her. When she's moody, don't take it personally. When she disagrees with you, don't get defensive. These moments are opportunities to show her who you really are beneath the surface. And if who you are is solid, she'll feel it. If who you are is shaky, she'll feel that too. Machiavelli wrote about power and perception. He understood that how others perceive you is based on how you respond to pressure. If you remain composed when others expect you to break, you gain respect. Not through force, through demonstration of character. This applies directly to women. When you stay grounded during her emotional fluctuations, you're demonstrating something rare. You're showing her that your stability isn't conditional on her behavior. You're stable because that's who you are. And that's the kind of man women bond with deeply. Now, let's talk about what happens after she's confirmed you're real. She begins to invest more openly. She'll start initiating contact. She'll make time for you without you asking. She'll remember small details about your life. She'll start integrating you into her future plans, even casually. We should check out that restaurant sometime. You would like this movie. These aren't random statements. They're signs of investment. But here's where most men make a critical mistake. They get comfortable. They stop leading. They stop growing. They think they've won, so they relax completely. And slowly, imperceptibly, the attraction begins to fade. Not because she's shallow, but because the qualities that attracted her are no longer present. Nietzsche talked about the eternal return, the idea that life is cyclical and we must continuously recreate ourselves. In relationships, this means you can't rest on past achievements. The man she fell for must continue existing. You must keep growing, pursuing goals, maintaining your edge. Not to impress her, but because that's what men of value do. She didn't fall for a finished product. She fell for a man in motion, a man with direction and purpose. When that motion stops, when you become stagnant and comfortable, the polarity that created attraction begins to dissolve. She starts feeling like she's with a different person than the one she chose. This doesn't mean you can't relax around her. It doesn't mean you have to constantly perform. It means your life trajectory continues upward, whether she's watching or not. You're building something, creating something, moving towards something meaningful. And she gets to be part of that journey, not the destination. When you understand this, relationships become simpler. You stop trying to hold on to her through manipulation or neediness. You hold on to her by continuing to be the man worth holding on to. Now we need to talk about the shadow side of attraction. The parts nobody wants to admit exist. Because relationships aren't just about love and connection. They're also about power, fear, and unconscious programming that runs deeper than most people realize. Ernest Becker wrote about the denial of death. He argued that much of human behavior is driven by our attempt to create meaning in a meaningless universe. We form relationships partly to escape the terror of being alone with our own mortality. When a woman invests in you, part of what she's doing is creating a shield against existential dread. This sounds dark, but understanding it gives you power. She's not just choosing you because you're attractive or funny or successful. She's choosing you because something about your presence makes life feel less terrifying. Your stability becomes her anchor in chaos. Your certainty becomes her refuge from doubt. This is deeper than romance. This is survival psychology. When you grasp this, you understand why consistency matters so much. When your energy shifts randomly, when your mood depends on external circumstances, you stop being an anchor. You become another source of chaos in her life. And chaos is what she's trying to escape, not invite in. But here's the paradox. You also can't be predictable to the point of boring. Women need stability, but they also need stimulation. They need to know you're reliable, but also that you're capable of surprising them. This balance is what most men fail to achieve. They're either too stable and boring or too chaotic and unreliable. Carl Jung talked about the integration of opposites, the masculine and feminine, order and chaos, safety and adventure. A man who has integrated these opposites becomes irresistible. He can be calm during storms, but also spontaneous during peace. He's predictable in character, but unpredictable in action. Let me give you a concrete example. Imagine she's having a stressful week. Work is overwhelming her. Family drama is draining her energy. She's emotionally exhausted. The wrong move is to match her stress, to become anxious about her anxiety, to try to fix everything immediately. That adds pressure, not relief. The right move is to be the opposite of her current state. If she's chaos, you're calm. If she's scattered, you're focused. You listen without trying to solve. You acknowledge without amplifying. You create a space where she can discharge emotional energy without judgment. This is what it means to hold space. But then, on a different day, when she's calm and stable, you introduce adventure. You suggest something spontaneous. You break the routine. You remind her that life isn't just about survival. It's also about experience. This keeps the relationship alive. This maintains polarity. Thomas Ligotti explored the horror of consciousness itself, the burden of being aware that we exist in an indifferent universe. Most people spend their lives trying to distract themselves from this reality. Relationships are one of the most powerful distractions. When she's with you, does she forget the weight of existence? Or does your presence add more weight? This is a question you must answer honestly. Are you making her life lighter or heavier? Are you a source of peace or additional stress? Because here's the truth. She'll tolerate a lot if you make life feel better. But she'll leave eventually if you make life feel worse, no matter how much she claims to love you. Now, let's discuss something most people avoid: the transactional nature of relationships. Everyone wants to believe love is pure and unconditional, but Machiavelli understood that all human relationships involve exchange. Not always money, but value of some kind. Emotional value, social value, security, companionship, entertainment. This doesn't make love fake. It makes it human. When she's invested in you, she's receiving something valuable that she can't easily get elsewhere. Maybe it's your emotional stability. Maybe it's your ambition that inspires her. Maybe it's the way you make her laugh. Whatever it is, it's valuable to her. And as long as that value remains, she stays. The danger is when you stop providing value, when you become complacent, when you stop being the man she chose. That's when her investment begins to decrease, not immediately, not obviously. But slowly, her emotional energy starts redirecting elsewhere, to work, to hobbies, to friends, away from you. You prevent this by maintaining your value, not through manipulation, through genuine self-development. You keep reading, learning, growing, building. You remain interesting because you're genuinely interested in becoming better. Not for her, for yourself. She just benefits from being around a man who's constantly evolving. Peter Wessel, Zapfe, wrote about the tragedy of human consciousness. We're cursed with an intellect too powerful for our own good. We see patterns, we predict outcomes, we imagine futures that may never come. This causes anxiety. Women experience this just as intensely as men, maybe more. When she's with you, does your presence quiet that anxiety or amplify it? When she thinks about the future with you, does she feel excitement or dread? These feelings determine whether her investment deepens or diminishes. You can't fake your way through this. She'll sense the truth eventually. So ask yourself honestly, what value do you bring? Not what you think you bring. What does she actually experience when she's around you? Does she feel better or worse? More alive or more drained? More herself or more guarded? Your honest answers to these questions tell you everything about where your relationship is heading. Let's talk about the moment everything changes. The moment when her investment becomes visible. When she stops hiding her interest and starts actively pursuing connection with you. This is the moment most men destroy everything they've built. And I'm going to show you exactly how to avoid that. When a woman reaches the point where she's emotionally invested, she begins to sacrifice. Not big sacrifices at first, small ones. She'll drive across town to see you. She'll cancel other plans to make time for you. She'll compromise on things that normally matter to her. This isn't weakness. This is investment. She's putting energy into something she believes has value. Albert Camus wrote about the absurd, the gap between our need for meaning and the universe's indifference. Relationships are how we create meaning in that void. When she invests in you, she's saying, "In this meaningless universe, you mean something to me." That's profound. That's not something to take lightly or take for granted. Here's what happens in most men's minds when they finally get her investment. Relief. They relax. They think the hard part is over. They stop doing the things that created attraction in the first place. They stop being challenging. They stop being mysterious. They become available all the time. They become predictable. And slowly, attraction dies. Why does this happen? Because most men don't understand that attraction isn't a destination. It's a state that must be maintained. It's like fitness. You don't go to the gym for 6 months, get in shape, then stop forever. You maintain it. Relationships work the same way. The behaviors that created attraction must continue, or attraction fades. Freud talked about the pleasure principle versus the reality principle. We want immediate satisfaction, but reality requires delayed gratification. When she starts investing, your pleasure principle screams, "Finally, now I can relax and enjoy this." But the reality principle knows better. This is when discipline matters most. So what does maintaining attraction actually look like? First, you maintain your boundaries. Just because she's invested doesn't mean you become a yes man. You still have your own opinions, your own preferences, your own standards. You don't compromise your core values to keep her happy. Women respect men who have boundaries more than men who bend to please them. Second, you maintain mystery. Not by playing games or being dishonest, but by having a life she's not fully part of. You have hobbies she doesn't participate in. You have friends she doesn't know well. You have thoughts you don't share immediately. This creates healthy space. It prevents the relationship from becoming suffocating. Third, you maintain challenge. You don't agree with everything she says. You playfully disagree sometimes. You push back when she's wrong. Not to be difficult, but because real connection requires honesty. If you're just nodding along to everything, you're not a partner. You're an echo. And nobody falls in love with their echo. Arthur Schopenhauer believed that desire is the root of suffering. We want things, we get them, then we stop wanting them. This applies directly to relationships. The chase creates desire. The capture ends desire. Unless you understand how to maintain the dynamic that created desire in the first place. Here's a practical example. She texts you and wants to hang out tonight. You already have plans with friends. The needy response is to cancel your plans and see her. The attractive response is to stick with your plans and offer an alternative. "I've got plans tonight, but I'm free Thursday. Let's do that thing you mentioned last week." This does two things. It shows you have a life outside of her, and it shows you value your commitments. Both of these are attractive qualities. You're not being mean. You're being consistent. And consistency builds trust, which deepens investment over time. Now let's address the fear that stops most men from doing this. The fear that if you don't drop everything for her, she'll lose interest. That if you're not constantly available, she'll find someone else. This fear comes from scarcity mindset. The belief that she's your only option, that you need her more than she needs you. But here's the truth that dark psychology reveals. People value what they work for. When you're too available, too eager, too accommodating, you become low value in her perception. Not consciously. She doesn't think, he's too available, so he must be worthless. But unconsciously, her attraction decreases. Because availability signals low demand, and low demand signals low value. Nietzsche said, "That which does not kill us makes us stronger." In relationships, a little bit of distance makes investment stronger. When she has to work slightly for your time and attention, she values it more. When she has to wait a bit to see you, she anticipates it more. This isn't manipulation. This is basic human psychology. The key is balance. You're not ignoring her or being cold. You're simply maintaining the life you had before she entered it. You're showing her that while she's important, she's not your entire existence. And paradoxically, this makes her want to be more involved in your existence. When she sees that you have purpose beyond her, that you're building something meaningful, that your world doesn't revolve around her validation, something shifts. She stops seeing herself as the prize you're chasing. She starts seeing you as the prize she wants to keep. That's when her investment becomes permanent. That's when she stops testing and starts committing. But this only works if it's genuine. You can't fake having purpose. You can't pretend to have a full life. You must actually build one. We've reached the final piece. The part that separates men who keep women from men who lose them. And it all comes down to one thing: your relationship with yourself. Because everything I've taught you up to this point means nothing if you don't have this foundation. And most men don't. Carl Jung said, "The meeting of two personalities is like the contact of two chemical substances. If there is any reaction, both are transformed." But here's what he didn't say explicitly. If you're not whole before that meeting, the transformation will destroy you, not improve you. You'll lose yourself trying to become what you think she wants. This is the trap most men fall into. They meet a woman they like, and slowly they start abandoning themselves. They stop going to the gym. They stop seeing their friends. They stop pursuing their goals. They make her the center of their universe. And then they wonder why she lost attraction. She lost attraction because the man she chose disappeared. When she's invested in you, she's invested in the version of you that existed when she met you. The focused version. The ambitious version. The version that had a life, a purpose, a mission. If that version vanishes and gets replaced by a clingy, needy version that revolves around her, her unconscious mind registers this as deception. You're not the man she thought you were. Ernest Becker understood that we create hero projects to deny death. We build businesses, create art, raise children. Anything to leave a mark that says we existed. Your hero project, your purpose, is what makes you attractive. Not just to her, to yourself. When you abandon your purpose for a woman, you betray yourself. And that betrayal shows up as weakness in her eyes. So here's the brutal truth. Your relationship with her will never be stronger than your relationship with yourself. If you don't respect yourself, she won't respect you. If you don't value your time, she won't value your time. If you don't have standards for yourself, she won't take your standards seriously. Everything external is a reflection of what's internal. Let me be specific about what this looks like. Every morning, before you think about her, you think about your mission. What are you building? What are you creating? What legacy are you constructing? These questions ground you. They remind you that your value isn't determined by whether she texts back or not. Your value exists independent of her validation. When you operate from this place, everything changes. Her moods don't control your state. Her tests don't shake your confidence. Her occasional distance doesn't trigger panic. Because your sense of self isn't wrapped up in her perception of you. You're rooted in something deeper. Your purpose, your mission, your relationship with yourself. Machiavelli wrote, "It is better to be feared than loved, if you cannot be both." In relationships, this translates differently. It's better to be respected than needed. When she needs you, she resents you eventually. When she respects you, she values you permanently. Respect comes from watching you respect yourself, from seeing you maintain standards even when it's uncomfortable. This means sometimes you'll have to walk away from situations that don't serve you, even with her, especially with her. If she's consistently disrespectful, you address it once clearly, then you're willing to walk if it continues. Not as a threat, as a boundary. You're not trying to control her behavior. You're controlling what you tolerate in your life. Most men are terrified of this. They think, if I set a boundary, she'll leave. Maybe. But here's what they don't understand. If setting a healthy boundary makes her leave, she was never truly invested. She was using you, and you deserve better than that. When a woman genuinely values you, boundaries don't push her away. They make her respect you more. Peter Wessel Zapffe wrote about the 4 ways humans cope with existential terror: isolation, anchoring, distraction, and sublimation. Most people use relationships as distraction and anchoring. They avoid facing themselves by focusing on someone else. But the strongest men use relationships as sublimation. They transform their existential drive into creating something meaningful alongside another person. This is the highest form of relationship. 2 whole people choosing to build together, not 2 incomplete people trying to complete each other. When you're already whole, her presence enhances your life, but doesn't define it. This is freedom for both of you. She doesn't carry the burden of being your purpose. She gets to simply be herself alongside you. So here's your final instruction. Before you try to understand her psychology, understand your own. Before you try to keep her invested, invest in yourself. Before you try to maintain attraction, become genuinely attractive. Not through tricks or tactics, through authentic self-development. Read books that challenge you. Lift weights that are heavy. Build businesses or projects that scare you. Develop skills that take years to master. Create a life so interesting that her presence is a bonus, not a necessity. When you do this, you stop chasing women. You start attracting them naturally. Because value attracts value. Strength attracts strength. Purpose attracts purpose. Thomas Ligotti said consciousness is a nightmare. Maybe. But if we're stuck with it, we might as well use it to build something meaningful. Your relationship with a woman can be part of that meaning, but it cannot be the entire meaning. The moment she becomes your only source of purpose, you've already lost her. And worse, you've lost yourself. So when she does that thing, when she shows investment, when she lets down her guard, recognize it, appreciate it, but don't make it your identity. Stay grounded in who you were before her. Continue building what you were building before her. Include her in your journey, but don't make her the journey. This is how you keep her, not through manipulation, through maintaining the authentic masculine presence that attracted her initially, through being so rooted in your purpose that her storms don't shake you, through respecting yourself so deeply that she has no choice but to respect you too. That's the secret most men never learn. The woman isn't the prize. You are. And when you finally understand that, when you embody that, everything changes. She stops being something you chase. She becomes someone who chooses to walk beside you, and that choice, made freely from genuine respect and investment, is worth more than 1,000 manipulated connections. This is the shadow mind. If this resonated with you, share it with one man who needs to hear it. Subscribe for more truth that others won't tell you. And remember, the work you do on yourself today determines the quality of relationship you have tomorrow. Make it count.